Hey everyone, we're very excited about today's guest. He's a good friend of ours here at Ortho Sales Engine. Erich Lipphardt is the founder and president of Rise Above Sign and Graphics. He earned a bachelor's degree in business administration and his MBA from West Virginia University. He has over 17 years of experience in marketing and business development and has held several C-level positions, including Chief Operating Officer of MedCare Urgent Care and Vice President of Business Development and Marketing for MedExpress Urgent Care. He has also served as business consultant for American Family Care. Today, he serves corporate, nonprofit, government, and healthcare clients nationwide with his full-service creative studio. Erich, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Richard. Good to be here. Appreciate you having us on.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about you?
Sure. Hi everybody. It's good to be on here. I've spent a good bit of my early career in healthcare, so it's nice to be able to talk with this group because while my specialty was urgent care, I do have some relevant experience in the healthcare space that you would probably share. I spent a good time, the majority of my history and background was in branding, strategic marketing, and managing creative departments in the urgent care space. And when I was with MedExpress, we put a lot of attention on the patient experience and tying together all of our processes, our culture, and the physical environment. So as I moved through all of those, I was fairly fortunate. Had a great time building that brand, doing some other things, and ultimately moved on. And at some point, I decided I wanted to try and find the intersection of my passion. So I really had a strong passion for the creative world, and through all those experiences, really fell in love with signage and graphics in particular. And so started my own company to try and help more companies with their efforts on building a better experience with graphics. So it let me use my business background, creative background, get my hands dirty and things like that. So now fast forward at Rise Above, we have some urgent care clients and some orthodontic clients that we're helping with that, and we're having a lot of fun with it.
That's great. So I know today we're going to talk about specifically experiential design. So why don't you just tell us what that is? What does that mean to you when you're explaining that to someone?
Sure. I think that there's lots of different, as with anything, there's a ton of different industry terms, right? So sometimes we talk about experiential design, environmental graphics. I think at the meat of it in a little bit, we'll probably be talking about how orthodontic practices can marry the visual experience, the visual and physical experience in their center with their culture, their mission, their vision, their values, and their processes. Environmental design, environmental graphics is all about using your space to extend the experience. And so what we really try to talk through is, so many times branding and a logo are considered synonymous, and we like to help people understand that there's a difference, and that branding is the intersection of promise and delivery. So
the branding, I love that term. It's the intersection between promise and delivery. I think that is so important for people to understand that.
Yeah. And so I think the basis for environmental graphics is, it's really well documented, right? That exceptional customer experiences come from engaged employees, thoughtful processes, and satisfying facilities environments. And most of these practice owners are going to have good, solid control over how they're engaging their employees and their processes. And a lot of times folks want some help with how to improve the overall appearance of their site or make graphics better for their overall patient experience. And that's what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, great. So why is experiential design important for an orthodontic practice, would you say?
Sure. I think there's a couple reasons. One, there's kind of the consumer side of this, and there's also the employee engagement side. And there really is some good documentation and studies out there. Orthodontists probably like statistics. I was reading through some things I have here and came across a report from the Gensler Research Institute.
Yeah.
And just a couple of things really stuck out to me that I thought might be important to this audience. One is people are 10 times more likely to share an experience where there was a unique design versus the alternative.
10
Users,
times. Oh, so if it was cookie cutter, it's kind of just bland. They forget about it. But if it's
yeah,
really
I thought
unique,
it was impressive. To me, it really speaks to just how much the physical environment means to a consumer. So, we'll get into one of the things they talk about is that there's different elements of this: beauty, authenticity, inspiration, sense of welcome, and novelty. And, we all want to have a nice place, but there's really some science behind it, showing how it really complements the overall experience and helps drive customer satisfaction.
yeah. So the actual physical environment can help improve customer satisfaction. That's sort of surprising. I think
Yeah.
a lot of times it's taken for granted.
Yeah, I think so. And if you think about it, it's a lot of times people are familiar with touch points.
Yeah.
So we often think of touch points in real finite ways, but it's really quite broad. So one of the things we'll be talking about is how can you evaluate your space, but there's touch points everywhere, right? So it starts in the parking lot. It starts from the parking lot as you're walking up to a facility. The approach to the facility, moving into the facility, and then of course every step throughout. So I think as we get into some of this, there's probably a couple of directions we can talk about today. There's simple practices and what are some simple things we can do right now to just move forward or make some general advances, to other practices who might be trying to think about how to redefine themselves or take a step back and really reposition. Here we are. Look why we're on here right now is we're all taking advantage of some downtime due to the pandemic right now, to think one of the best things we can be doing is planning. So even if people just start thinking about how could I improve the patient experience with graphics, with the experiential design and messaging that's in the center, it's a good thing.
So let's take a step back, because branding and having that culture defined is the critical first step, right? So why don't we talk a little bit about when you're talking about branding with a client, what are the things they need to have? What ducks in a row need to be taken care of before we even start with that experience?
Sure. I think a lot of times we often overlook branding in general because I've always jumped into, there's logos, there's advertising, and there's branding, right?
Yeah.
A logo is an identification of your brand. Advertising is how you promote your brand, but your brand is really this emotional connection that consumers have with your product or service.
An emotional connection. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, as a practice, one of the things that we've looked at, one of the reports, there was a Harvard report. It's getting dated now. It's probably 10 years old or so now. But talking about there's primarily three types of business disciplines. Okay. So it operates on the assumption that a business can focus on operational excellence, product leadership, or customer intimacy. All right. And it's the idea that you can never be good at all three.
Yeah.
And be successful. At best, maybe you could do two, but the most successful companies really zone in on one. So the classic examples of operational excellence is Walmart and what we know about how they've focused in on logistics to be successful.
Yeah, that
Product leadership, one of the glowing examples is Apple. Customer intimacy, Walt Disney World. There's few companies who have put as much attention into the customer experience as Disney World. So
yeah, I've been watching an Imagineering show. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Actually, when we were at MedExpress, we did Disney training because we really wanted to bring that into the fold. So a lot of our management team and executives did Disney training to bring that to life.
Yeah. So which one of those three did MedExpress focus on?
We focused on customer intimacy, and I think that's what's kind of relevant to this and to this audience in particular.
Yeah.
What I think about is the reality is an orthodontist could focus on any of those. That they might have a focus on operational excellence, they might be a product leadership, or they might be customer intimacy. The reason I think customer intimacy makes sense in this space is the sea of sameness that exists.
The sea of
Braces are
sameness.
braces,
Yes.
right? And
I
so
talked about recently how a lot of these practices, really the orthodontic industry is heading down that road of being a commodity, and commoditization is really one of the biggest threats to an orthodontic practice. So we really need to make sure that we're controlling what our differentiators are, and we're really sharing that message with the customers, because you do not want to be in that sea of sameness that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's great. When you think about it in those terms, you want to think about you're a service provider that happens to provide braces, right? And it is the experience that is the difference so often, in how people promote you, how people are satisfied with what you're doing. So it's in that customer intimacy vein that all of this comes out. And the idea is that you're going to orient your physical space, your environment, etc., in an attentive way to what that consumer is expecting, demanding, and hoping for. And it takes a step back. You want to take a look at lots of different angles on how you can do things to fit within your budget, to fit within your brand, and things like that. And just coming back around to what you mentioned about brand. A lot of this will depend on if you've got some of those precursors in place. If you're a practice who hasn't really put thoughtful attention into your branding package, your logo design, your underlying mission, vision, and values, those are kind of some first steps you want to take, because just slapping up a stock photo on a picture, it can spruce up a place, but it's not really going to help you deliver on any strategic objective. The idea would be that you're trying to position your facilities to attract star talent.
Yeah.
So it's got that angle, but also to educate, inform, entertain your actual customer population as well.
So what are some maybe first steps if someone they're not sure about their branding, they're not sure about their vision, their mission? What are some exercises maybe they could take right now with their staff while we're all virtual? Is that something you think they could work on during this time while we're not physically in the office?
I'd encourage anybody who is possibly not well defined in those areas to put focus there. And if you don't have any experience having defined mission, vision, values, or working with branding, consult somebody who can help with it. It's
absolutely.
I've always said, don't have a mission statement on your wall because it's the thing to do. Have a mission statement on the wall because it's the right way and path forward. You want to have, they're guiding principles. I've always said those mission and value statements are kind of like your GPS and a set of guardrails, right? They're going to be your roadmap for where you're going and how you're going to do it. And they're going to give you and your team some protection as you're forced with making decisions along the way. So it's really important to get those nailed down. And this is a great time, engage your employees in it. Have a diet at the most basic, simple level. Right now, we're all concerned about expenses, so nobody wants to go hiring consultants immediately right now. Dialogue can do an amazing thing. Talk with your employees about what's working well. Talk with your employees about what they see within the patient experience. What have they heard? And try to capture some of that so you can move in that direction.
Maybe they could even do a survey if we have a list of the patients and start getting some data, because everyone's sitting home on their phone, on their computer.
Yeah, it'd be a fantastic opportunity. If you can, void other resources, survey your patient base about the experience, make it focused about the experience, let them know you're interested in improving the experience and that their feedback is valuable. And then tie that together with some collaboration with the team is a fantastic thing to be doing right now.
Yeah. So when you have a one doctor, one office, there's a lot of this mission and values really coming from the heart of that doctor. Would you say? What would your recommendation be besides that?
Absolutely. And that's one thing we've learned and talk about a lot is that there's almost a debate or an argument about what that brand culture and personality should be. And really what's important is that it's aligned and authentic. So many times you might have a practice that is the owner is fun loving and loose,
Yeah,
but wants to define their brand as really hard driving and sterile. It won't work.
absolutely.
And just the opposite is possible too. Someone where leadership is really kind of detail oriented, but wants to play the fun card in the branding, it's not aligned. There's no rule book that you're supposed to look fun and have a ping pong table in the back. There's evidence that says when it's aligned, you can be successful, because it's that alignment that brings the team, the culture, and the consumers together. So when you're getting into the branding, what I really recommend, particularly for smaller practices, of course, it's going to be, what are those values of that owner? And embrace them. Embrace what your values and your mission are, and publish and promote them, and focus on them. Help people understand the why. When you're dealing with employees need to understand why. So as you start to define what that mission is and what your values are, regardless of what the popular trend is, if it's aligned and you educate and inform, you'll be able to have cohesion. And
So you're saying regardless of what the trend is, you shouldn't just be fun loving because everyone is fun loving. You think that that's what's going to get
you might not be able to be.
The alignment is much more important.
Yeah, saying we're hip and cool when you're not, it's not gonna work for you, right? Yeah. And that's okay. That's one within branding. That's all right. What you want is authentic alignment, so that you can achieve the cohesion needed to be consistent. And then you're going to obviously focus that on the target population you're going after.
And I can't imagine, it would be so hard not to be aligned and come in every day. You're the orthodontist for that practice, and you're basically putting on a face that's not you. You have to be an actor through the whole shit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to live that way either. It's kind of ironic. The easier, more natural thing to do is what the correct thing to do is. Just be authentic and be yourself and align the practice with those values.
And I do think it is important, because if you're trying to move the needle, if you're trying to make a difference using environmental graphics and branding in your patient experience, you need to have that defined in order to craft an appropriate strategy to develop how you're going to do things. Would be great. Some of this we can talk about is simple wayfinding, right? So room one's room one. I can help you figure out how to make a really cool sign that says room one.
Yeah.
That's a small element of a global picture. And we're really fortunate. We just finished up a pretty impressive installation here in Charleston with an orthodontic group. They've got an orthodontic practice, and they're starting to prototype a new concept Invisalign store.
Yeah.
And it was a great example, as far as I'm concerned, of kind of what we're talking about today. They've really drilled in, done a nice job with their branding, identifying who they are, and then it's cascaded throughout. So we've got just some straight up branding, utilizing their logos for signage throughout, but also wall graphics, doing some dimensional letters, real careful, thoughtful attention to their directional signage. It's all consistent, all managed well. It's helping the patients understand different touch points throughout their interaction. There's certain welcome signage up front. There's a toothbrushing station and communication going on there through signage and things like that. It was a great example. So we have a lot of fun with it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, we did a lot of that artwork, so it was a great collaboration. We appreciate the compliment on the branding.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And I think it really is very well aligned with the doctor there. That office reflects that doctor's personality and the values that he has. And it's especially important if you're even considering if you're ever going to scale your practice and open another office. If you have all of this nailed down and you've got it right, you can just replicate it instead of having to start all over again and figuring it out. When you're growing, you want to really get it right the first time, if that's at all possible.
Consistency is huge in scalability, right? One or more, that consistency in what you're doing. So you kind of identify, create that identity, make sure that it's authentic and aligned with reality, And then you got the context, right? So you got your frame, you got your baseline prepared for your branding. Then you can jump into what I'd recommend people do as an audit, right? So you want to kind of audited your brand, and then you can jump into auditing your facility, both exterior and interior. And that's where you're going to start to find opportunities.
So let's walk us through what you would do in an audit, I guess. Are you starting from, I just got out of the car in the parking lot, and is that how you do it?
When we do audits for folks, we have some tools, and we would literally, a lot of folks think for us it's a survey, like we're just going to go take a measure of a wall space. But if we're doing a project like this, it's going to start with creative briefs and some brand auditing, just like some of the stuff we talked about. So we'd really be diving into understanding more about what assets are available now, what is known about the brand, kind of like what we just talked about. But then moving into an interior and exterior audit, at the simplest way, if I'm going to give this audience some advice today on what they can do, be a patient, right? Put yourself in the shoes of a patient and start in the parking lot. I used to scream all the time, if there's cigarette butts on the entryway, that's a damage on our brand. Right?
Absolutely.
We want to pay attention to all those things. In the context of exactly what we're talking with the graphics, I think about on the exterior, is your practice and your entrance clearly visible? Can people
That is a very simple one right there that I see violated all the time.
Often. Yeah. You can't do much about ingress, egress, right? If you've got a space that has ingress and egress challenges, you're not going to get the Department of Highways to fix that for you tomorrow. But you can find creative solutions to help customers navigate your space more simply. Things like could easily sound like it's unnecessary, but what an easy thing you can do to make the experience easier for the patient. So you started off on the right foot.
Absolutely.
Other things exteriorly, just some stuff isn't even signage. How do your facilities look? When's the last time you cleaned your windows? When's the last time you cleaned the exterior of a building? What presentation is your facade giving current and potential patients? And then the signage you've got that's identifying you. Is your logo 30 years old and it was never all that great, and maybe you should put some attention to it? Down to, is there opportunity for illuminated or non-illuminated signage that helps identify your brand, identify your location, and attract customers? As you're going inside, I stick to keep being the patient. Sit down in your waiting room, in your reception area, whatever it is you call it, and go through the process of what's it like to sign in, what's it like to check in, what's it like to get registered, what's it like to sit and wait, what do you see, what do you observe, how do you feel? Because you want to start with that position of what is my patient experiencing. You're going to get the fun part of looking around to look for ideas, right? You're going to simultaneously be surveying surfaces, opportunities. So what walls, floors, glass, suspension opportunities exist for the different things you can do, because some of what you want to do is branding. Some of what you want to do is wayfinding. Some of it is going to be to inform or entertain. Some of it might be an opportunity to be interactive and kind of complement the overall process. But you want to be observant and pay attention to where those opportunities are. So, from an audit standpoint, the simple thing I could say now is be a patient, hop in their shoes, and go to the restroom. What's it like to go to the restroom? Could you find it? If somebody didn't tell you where it was and you didn't know?
That's a good question. If someone didn't tell you where it was, could you find it?
Yeah.
That's very often violated.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing you want to do. You really need to use a restroom and you don't know where it is and there's no one to ask. You don't ever.
Yeah. Then you can dive into, it's another great opportunity, like we were talking about earlier, to get involved with your staff and talk about the processes. One thing that I really liked is there's a simple sign that we did. It says there's a toothbrushing station in a practice we worked at, and there's already toothpaste on the toothbrushes, right? So there's a sign there that says, hey, there's already toothpaste on the toothbrushes. Just proceed. It's little things like that where in our daily world, we know our world very well, but our customers don't understand our world. So as you move through that audit, you want to take the time to really think about, okay, are we clear? Have we made things clear with everybody throughout the various stages of their experience? You know, one tip that I would say if you're doing this on your own, if you've got a floor plan, fantastic. If all you've got is a napkin and a pen, draw your floor plan.
Yeah.
Take an aerial view of your floor plan and think in terms of your patient journey. How do they arrive? How do they process? What is their visit experience? How do they exit your facility? You know, get a few different angles and perspectives on the patient experience to help you think through ways you could use graphic signage, etc.
I mean, even down to the forms they're signing. And if it's a paper form, does it look professional? Has your clipboard 20 years old?
Yeah.
What app are you using on your tablet if you're using the tablet? Are you branding yourself then? There's a lot of opportunities there. So what do you think are some of the most popular options right now that people are using?
You know, I think what we're seeing a lot of is, you know, there's really, I think I touched on it a little bit ago, but there's probably 4 main ways people are using graphics right now in their environments, branded environments. So that's equally as much focused on the employees as it is on the customers.
Yeah.
But using physical space to publish and promote those values, mission, vision that we talked about. Excuse me, sorry about that. You know, I think a lot of times that can be in break rooms. It can also be front and center. But we're seeing combinations there, wall graphics, kind of a multimedia approach. We've been seeing some really cool stuff where there's wall graphic combined with some dimensional lettering. Maybe some
you're putting them together in one piece? That sounds
sure. So you might have a backdrop wall graphic that is a historic timeline of the evolution of the company with some dimensional letters for the branding and logo, and maybe some acrylic prints that highlight your mission and values. A lot of times people have some fantastic photography that really speaks to their brand identity, and you can and mix that in as well. You know, signage and wayfinding is important. I think there's somewhat traditional in that respect, but you know, your welcome and reception area. You know, what's your patient see when they come in? Are they greeted by your brand?
Mm-hmm.
Can you put a logo on the front wall of your reception desk? Is there a space behind the desk for dimensional letters? We're seeing a lot of brushed aluminum. It really, everything drills back to the brand. You know, is your brand clean? We've seen a lot of laser cut white acrylic. It's beautiful and clean. Classy and polished. We're seeing some of that brushed aluminum. So many different ways we can do things anymore to create custom graphics, dimensional graphics, and things like that. Think about your room signage. You know, another thing that I'm trying to help people with, what I'm seeing more of is things like changeable graphics. So there's what's called snap frames now. So in your patient rooms or in your patient areas, you know, you might want to be sending certain messages over time. So almost a seasonality calendar or routine change out. So we use snap frames a lot, so you can change the message. You buy the hardware. It is a super easy to change out graphic. Then you're just flipping it out with printed poster type graphics. You know, so you can get more messaging out and kind of stay fresh and current and recent doing that. Trying to think, educational, informative stuff is getting pretty cool. We did for an orthodontic practice. Pardon my ignorance on some of this, but the braces, they've got opportunities for the color of their rubber bands.
Yeah.
And there's a pretty cool color wheel that this practice did where hanging on their wall is a custom made. It's an acrylic. It's a routed acrylic piece on chrome standoffs, but all the colors available in those rubber bands is there. So it's really nice because it creates an interaction with the patient to do some things. So
it's so nice when you have these opportunities to make something 3D too and add some texture to.
Absolutely.
So what are some other ways that you can do something really like that's 3D and really pops for someone that's really going to make an experiential experience really amazing?
I think that there's so many different things that get cool. We like to look out for corners. It sounds
Yeah.
strange, but if you've got a corner or an angle with the floor, there's ways to mix floor graphics and wall graphics to tie together. It really kind of depends on the space and what your goals and objectives are. But if you're kind of asking about what are some of the like products we make, is that,
Yeah, like so what I'm thinking like something that's really gonna make the room feel like it's if you're in Amazon or something, or it's like really playful and there's things like that. Or what kind of the 3D objects are you putting in the space or things
a
like that?
lot of times you can do suspended signs
Yeah,
or what we call blade signs or right angle signs. So things that kind of disrupt or catch the eye are
yeah,
always great. And dimensional signage is fantastic. So a lot of times, I'm looking at our screen, I'm looking at your Ortho Sales Engine logo, right? So what we're looking at right there is a flat graphic, but we can bring that to life with dimension.
yeah,
So I can see multiple things here. That could be three different layers where a first layer is that blue gear in the background, the second layer is a black disc, and a third layer is that white tooth. But just as equally, this could be a two-layer thing where it's blue then black, but the white's cut all the way through to reveal the wall, doing a negative space type of thing. Anytime you're getting various depths and layers of dimension, it's powerful. And so one of the things I really encourage people to look at is a lot of times mixing a wall graphic for messaging, tone, personality, and texture, and complementing it with some additional dimensional graphics is really, really cool.
and you guys design all of this for everyone too, so you can still get ideas and put it all together. So it's
We can. We also it's all over the board. We did a great install working with the design work you did. A lot of times
yeah,
architects, that'd be something for these guys too. You can do your own self audit. Get someone involved. Get a professional involved. An interior designer oftentimes is who's driving some of what we want. A lot of times it's people will turn the whole project over to us. A lot of times they'll have their concept or know what they're doing and ask us to embellish, enhance, bring it to life. And other times people will say, hey, here's what we want, make this. And we do that as well.
yeah. So if someone's out of state wants to work with you on a big project, can you walk us through how that would work? Because I know that you can work
We
with
do.
anyone
We
nationwide.
serve regional and national clients. We've actually done we've done installations in Los Angeles, California. We did a really cool healthcare project up in Pennsylvania for it was Lancaster General Hospital. That's a division of Penn Medicine. We did a major pediatric project up there. That was about 20 exam rooms of wall graphics and dimensional signage and things like that. So we can handle project management and design right here at our shop. We do fabrication in our shop. Depending on the project, we sometimes, like my crew, traveled to Pennsylvania for that install.
Yeah.
We also have an installation network where we can do things, but it's also pretty exciting anymore. Like we've got a healthcare group. It's an urgent care group in Tennessee. We did some dimensional letters for them, and we teed them up for their own install. So we provided them a template, video instructions, and things like that. So we were able to ship direct to them, and they installed it themselves. And it worked out. It actually saved them money because they didn't even have to pay for install.
Yeah, so you're willing to do that. You'll train someone and let them do it themselves if it's within their
Sure, a lot of different things. Some of what we do is fairly complex, but a lot of stuff is just even our installers use really simple tools, right? So a lot of what we do is we make templates to make our job easier, and it would be easy for someone else as well.
once you make the templates. Yeah, as long as you know what you're doing. What are some of the tools you have inside the shop that allow you to do some cool stuff? I think you have a CNC router.
Yeah, we're pretty full service. We do a wide variety of things. We do interiors, exteriors, vehicle wraps, and things like that. So we've got an art department and a production department. We've got digital printers, both solvents, and I won't even dig into that detail. Nobody. Really
Yeah.
we got different types of inks that can run different kind of medias. And then in our fabrication shop, We've got a big CNC router. We can do laser cut materials. We really.
When you're saying laser cut, what do you mean by that? It's literally a laser.
So a CNC router is actually a large machine that uses a spindle and like a router and routes materials. Laser is pretty amazing technology now, where we're using lasers to cut and or etch materials. So laser cut is just an amazing finish. Like if we do laser cut acrylic, it's beautiful. So we've got those capabilities. We do a little bit of everything.
And your wall murals, you have a medical grade version of those, right? So that can.
Hey, good question. Good question. We actually do. There's so many. The reality is with wall graphics, I have to be careful what I talk about here because there's hundreds of vinyl materials that can be used, and there's lots of different approaches for how to produce them. So you've got everything from permanent. If you got something that you want to be there for 10 years, we would use a permanent adhesive. There's also removable adhesive, so if you just need something short term. One of the things we're really excited.
A lot of people don't know about that. You can have a removable wall graphic that can be used.
Absolutely. A lot of times we will advocate a really nice product called Phototex. It's a texture. It's almost like a fabric vinyl, but it's got a repositionable and removable adhesive on it. So it's semi-permanent. It'll stay there forever. But say you're in a rented space or something like that, you got a painted wall, that material will come down without damaging the wall. We recently invested in Canon, and I've always been a big fan of Canon for their color management systems. They came out with kind of a game-changing printer a couple of years ago called the Colorado, and it's a new ink technology called UV gel. And it's this new ink that, for us in our world, we deal with latex and solvents and UV inks. It's kind of the best of all worlds. But one thing that ended up being at the time we didn't realize it was going to be such a fantastic benefit, but is there now. It's Green Guard certified. So this is an ink that it's almost indestructible. So a lot of times we have some of our inks that if we're not careful, they would scratch. So we have to laminate them. This ink does not need laminated, and it's naturally scratch resistant because it's UV cured in process. And so because of that, it is fantastic for healthcare facilities, and it got the Green Guard certification because it can be cleaned. There's a lot of times, maybe not so much in orthodontic facilities, but in other doctors' offices and practices where there might be bloodborne pathogens and concerns like that. A lot of times practices have to be concerned about the ability to clean it. And this product can be cleaned with mild detergents over and over, and it's just fine. So it's actually something we promote. I haven't thought about it for an orthodontic practice. I'm not sure if that's as attractive to them as it would be a physician's office, but it is a pretty cool feature of that.
Does that make it? I would assume it's more durable, considering it can go through all that abuse of cleaning.
It's amazing. We our world before we got it, we had to laminate everything to protect it. We've done tests. We've literally taken car keys and tried to scratch this ink, and we can't. We literally destroy the vinyl and cut it up before we can scratch the ink.
Wow, so that's a huge advancement. I can see why you like a Canon there.
For us, we kind of nerd out on some of this stuff. It's pretty cool.
I was thinking about the graphics for the cars, the wraps, and that was something I didn't have a lot of experience with until one of our clients used them. And we have clients that are doing billboards on the highway and then wraps. And I think wraps are a great alternative, in my opinion, to a billboard, because you do it once. It's the cost of probably 2 months of a decent billboard. And I know it lasts a while, and it's traveling around all the time. So people are seeing it everywhere. I think wraps are great.
It's funny. We talked earlier about, I've got this kind of strange background because I was this corporate executive in healthcare, and now I run this sign company. But the tie-in is, as an executive, when I was managing 60 locations in multiple states and regions, we really tried to figure out where were we getting our best ROI, right?
Yeah.
And it was through absolute clarity in the numbers that I've always said signage and wraps are the top two investments you can make in your marketing. So by that I mean the investment you make being a one-time investment that carries a lifetime of value versus the ongoing incurred expenses of other advertising. It's pennies compared to everything else. So that caught my eye about signage and felt like it would always be there. Wraps, of course, have really exploded onto the scene, and now there's a lot of opportunity for them. Everybody's getting better and better with them, and they are a phenomenal way to get your
But they
brand.
really need to be done right. I mean, there's
Designs
a lot of people that
everything.
say they do wraps, and you spend a ton of money with them. And it doesn't come out like it should, and you're kind of stuck with it. If you
design is critical with a wrap.
Oh, that's true. I've seen some pretty horrible wraps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think anymore it's similar for us. There's wrap shops everywhere. So material selection, ink selection, and install are important. But time and again, what we really see is the difference in a good wrap and a bad wrap is design.
That makes sense. How long do they last once they're installed on the car?
Good wraps using good materials are going to have a nice 5 to 7 year lifetime. It's funny. It kind of depends on what region of the country you're in. Here in South Carolina, we've got devastating sun and salt. So we really have to encourage people on the importance of care of the wrap. You've got to take care of the wrap and wash it like you wash a car.
Yeah.
Your horizontal surfaces are going to get more damage. So I'd encourage people not to let a roof or a hood go 5 to 7 years. It's worth a minor investment to replace it a couple years in so that it doesn't end up baked on and cooked.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. And it does protect the paint underneath it too, right? If you're going to.
It does. Yeah. And premium materials, like we'll only use certain materials. If you're working with a wrap shop that's worth their salt and using good materials, they're removable.
Mm-hmm. So after someone does kind of their own DIY audit and they have an idea of what kind of changes they want to make with the practice, what would you recommend when they're choosing a company like you? What are the things they should look out for to make sure they get a good company?
Yeah, I mean, I think if folks who are ready to enhance their facility with graphics, they first want to try and do their audit or get some help with it. What do you want to look for? Check people's portfolios, check people's references. You want to find a lot of this. Design is critical. So groups that have good design teams and a portfolio that looks professional is important. I'd keep an eye on that. What type of company you need really depends on what you're doing. If you're just going after a simple logo, you could probably find any number of fabrication shops or sign shops. If you're looking for a real cohesive, extended project, so to speak, where you're going to do an entire facility, I would recommend getting with a group that specializes that way, who can help you think through all the ins and outs. So people with project management experience. If you can find a full service sign company, that would be one. Architects, agencies like you guys. I mean, you guys, what you offer is desirable as the go-between between an end client and someone like us. Also. Yeah. So agencies, architects, interior designers, or a credible, qualified sign company. I would say I've tried to build my business on. We built Rise Above on customer intimacy. As a sign buyer, I was frustrated with the levels of customer service in the industry. Imagine. There's a lot in our industry that's just a couple steps away from an auto body shop, and we really tried to cater toward our audience to be that service level. So not saying you got to call us. Find more creative. The companies that seem to have a better firm grip on the creative side, I think, would be more helpful and attentive to a project like this.
So what if someone's totally starting from they're opening a brand new practice, or they're gutting it and they're starting from scratch? Are they generally working with the architect and an interior designer and you at the same time? What are the differences between what interior designer is going to be doing, what the architect's going to be doing, what you guys are doing?
Sure, I think there can be crossover. We've kind of worked in just about any combination of that. A lot of times, folks will use an architect to get their floor plan designs. We work with both. A lot of times architects are getting involved in signage decisions like wayfinding and directional signage.
Yeah.
So we work with architects in that regard, that they know generally what the floor plan flow needs to be, and they'll work with us to help them figure out material selections and finishes. Interior designers oftentimes know they want a certain style of artwork, and want us to help with that. So we'll help, with production of gallery wrapped canvases of either professional photos they've taken, or helping them source photography or stock photography and things like that. It really could be any combination of architects, interior designers. A lot of times we work straight with a practice owner.
Yeah, that makes sense. If they really know what they want.
Yeah,
absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. So it does sound like it would be good if the creative team can do most of it themselves. You can work with one or two people and get everything done and really make that vision a reality for someone.
Sure. And some of this depends on are we talking about one small practice, or are you trying to transform a 30-unit regional brand as well? There's going to be a whole different approach and tactic to how you tackle that project.
Yeah, what if it is a group and they kind of have an overall umbrella brand, but they all have their own little their certain personalities for each office? That would probably be a good time to work with you then, to make sure you kind of see the connection, but the overall brand of the group is very clear.
It's a good point. Healthcare is local, right? That's what patients expect. So I'm a big believer. I'm a brand guy. So I believe in brands. So when you've got multi-unit operators, I think it's even more important. Everything we're talking about today is even more important.
Yeah.
You have a consistent brand execution throughout the facilities. But there's definitely all kinds of ways you can customize within that umbrella to give it that local feel. So, what you're doing in Denver versus Florida needs to have a consistent look and feel. We all know that. But there's going to be ways we could treat that to touch on that local audience's needs.
Yeah, without violating the brand message. That makes sense.
Yep.
So if you kind of have a limited budget right now, but you want to take some steps in the right direction, what would you recommend?
I think audit, seek inspiration, and plan. You don't have to hire a consultant to do an audit. Do some of those things we talked about. Take a close look in the mirror, right? Evaluate what brand assets you've got and how you're executing them now from your perspective, but also don't forget to get in the shoes of your customers and your employees, and query them if you can. Seek inspiration. I think that's an easy thing. We've all got time to Google right now.
Yeah, right.
Go out to Google and do an image search of orthodontic practices branding. Google search interior design ideas for orthodontic practices, and look and see what others are doing. So many times we've learned when we help people seek some inspiration, it's amazing the light bulbs that start to go off, right? Oh, I never thought I could do that. Don't try to reinvent the wheel today. You don't want to do what the next guy does, but if you understand your situation, a little situation analysis through a brand and physical audit.
Yeah.
Seek inspiration. Then you're kind of set up to say, I think my gaps that exist right now in my patient experience I'm missing the boat here, here, and here. Here are some things I've seen others do that look really nice. How do we bring that together and do some things?
So if you have the audit and you have the limited budget and you see the gaps, would that be your priority? Like fill the gaps first if you have to make a decision?
Sure. I think that could be done as long as you don't blow the context. You don't want to look piecemeal. But if you've got a generally pleasing aesthetic in your practice and you're just trying to, from a cash flow standpoint, maybe you want to take baby steps. Maybe you see the entire vision, but you can't necessarily afford to do all of it yet. Well, think about priority and sequence, right? What would have the most impact off the bat, and maybe you move in that direction. Sometimes you can do the whole thing. Sometimes you can do it in progression.
And a customer could call you and talk through some of this, and you could help them prioritize probably and choose something.
Sure. You know, we're kind of like the rest of the country right now. We're slowing down a little bit, so now's as good a time as any. I'd be happy to. We like talking about this stuff. If somebody wanted some ideas or things like that, a lot of times that would be consultative or something like that. I'd gladly help someone. You know, if you've got.
Yeah. So right now you'd offer that.
Go ahead.
Right now you'd offer that free consultation, or normally
Sure.
it wouldn't be, right? Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, we'll do a free discussion with folks. But hell, if somebody out there has a couple pictures of something and they're trying to figure out something to do, shoot me an email. I'll be glad to give you some ideas.
Great. Are you offering any discounts right now during this time?
We've got a pretty blanket 15% discount going on right now. But
yeah, that's pretty aggressive, especially if someone wanted to do a big project or a big sign.
Yeah.
Really appreciate
we're hungry right now, so we'd be happy to deal with just about anybody.
So what's the best way to get in contact with you if someone's interested in talking?
Is there a way for me I could give my email out? Do you guys have a way to send my email to
Yeah,
folks?
just say it now and then we'll put it.
Sure. You know, my personal email is E Lipphardt, ELIPPHARDT at Rise Above Partners. It's like it sounds, RISEABOVE PARTNERS.com.
Yeah.
And then the easy one is info@riseabovesigns.com.
Yeah, riseabovesigns.com. And we can go to the website right now and contact you there, of course.
Yeah, we've got contact forms and contact info there as well. We're all a little bit disparate. We've kind of, as we're reacting to this, we're limiting the number of people that are actually at the shop. So we got some of our management teams working from home, and we're corralling. You know, we got our warehouse and fabrication facility, and we got our management and design facility. So we're trying to keep people limited on each side of the walls there. So honestly, right now, sometimes the phone's not getting answered, but we are like literally calling.
Yeah, we're all playing that game right now.
Yeah.
I've got someone that called me right during this, so I'm not going to call them right back.
Yeah. I had one of those just
I think we all understand that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great hearing from you. I think we learned a lot about the experiential design and just aligning that brand with what is physically there, the importance of that alignment. And I bet there's some practices right now wondering if they truly are aligned with who they are and who their values.
And that's it. You know, take a step back and think about what is your brand about?
Mm-hmm.
How can you ensure that you can execute what that is? And then get a creative look. Is your I like to say, does the video match the audio? Right?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Is what you're saying about your brand, is it a reality? And make the video match the audio. First and foremost, internally with your processes and your culture, and then complement that, enhance that with the physical environment, and graphics and branding of environmental treatments are a fantastic way to do it.
Great. Well, thanks so much for all the advice. It was great talking to you today. And I will put all the information on it, recap everyone if you want to get in touch with Erich, and we'll talk soon. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Richie. I appreciate it.
Yeah.